What's going on? It's your boy CJ, head CEO, head of man of Motor City Lions Talk, and we've been gone for over a year. A lot of hectic things been going on, but let's get a quick welcome back video, and let's get a quick overview of the 2016-2017 Detroit Lions season. Now, the good, the bad, the ugly. I think the most miraculous thing was Matthew Stafford. And I'm not just talking about what he's doing with his arm or his legs or the growth. Since Jim Bob Cooter took over full time this year for Lombardi. I'm talking about his stepping up as a leader, as a vocal leader, as a visual leader, as we can see it. It's no back seat to Calvin Johnson. It's no back seat to Ndamukong Suh. And I think that's the positive about us. One of the positives I get into more about Suh and Calvin Johnson leaving. I think it's the most impactful. You see, Stafford holding guys accountable, getting in people's faces, lighting fires in people's asses. And I like the fiery Stafford. And this year, they just showed me that, he earned it. He's going to earn his money, earn his respect. He just got to turn it into playoff wins to progress forward and make that leap and get off that Campbell's hump. Another good thing that I took away from the season was Darius Slay. I think he's growing and he's learning to become a good corner. And unlike in other sports aspect where like the Pistons gave Drummond his money and he and Reggie Jackson their money and they failed to perform, Darius Slay got his money for the Lions and he performed. He took that blue collar mentality and he's starting to become a real legitimate top corner in this league, and that's good to see Lions developing talent. I think a third great thing was Corey Hyder. I was shocked after we lost a few defensive ends that was growing. I forget the guy's name. He went down to Tampa, and he had a big year with the Lions. And I was like, how are we going to fill that void in a year where Devin Taylor messing up was the worst pro football focused defensive end in the league amongst the worst. Corey Hyder stepped up, earned his playing time, earned his way on the team, wasn't expected to make the team and made an instant impact, most of the time without Zeke Ansah there because he was injured and still was productive. Our most productive pass rusher all year. Another good one, was Eric Decker. I love that draft pick of Eric Decker. He fit in well. I like that. From last year, he performed well. In the bad, I'm going to go good one more time. Marvin Jones, when he was healthy, was very good in stretching the field. Getting 50-50 balls. He dropped a lot of balls, this year. And I'm going to tell you, that's a fact of coming from Andy Dalton, who had a water pistol for an arm, and coming to the strongest arm quarterback in the league, or amongst the strongest arm quarterback, to Stafford, and the ball coming at you 100 miles an hour. I truly didn't think he got acclimated to that because he has good hands. He had one of the lowest drop rates when he played all 16 games with the Bengals. I think that'll change. Just him being healthy is my only concern. On the bad, one of the bad for me was Golden Tate inconsistency. In a time the year before when years before Calvin was down and injured, he stepped up as a true number one receiver, playing inside the slot, outside. And the year before last, it seemed like he was giving up on the team. And last year he was just disinterested at times when we needed him as a pass catcher. And there was other times where he flashed and looked excellent. And hopefully he can get his head back on right and be that consistent receiver along with Marvin Jones as well. And another good was Anquan Bolden. He was very consistent as well. But let's get back to the bad. The bad, Zeke Ansah being injured. I think that hurt that defense. DeAndre Levy being injuries. I think that hurt that defense as well. Tyre Whitehead played horrible all year, moving back the middle. And I think the Lions really tinkered with him. By putting him on the outside, moving in the middle when Tulloch was here. And when he was at middle that one year, he was thumping. He was making plays, interception. I think them messing with him a little bit. It's just he never was right again, or he never worked as hard. Uh, the ugly. The only real ugly thing I can think of is two things. Well, a few things. You know, the Lincoln Tomlinson was ugly this year. Horrible play, getting pushed back. First round pick, looking like shit. Let's keep it real. Another ugly was Eric Ebron. Being the most consistent pass catcher early in the year, and then late in the year reverting back to Ebronism and dropping a lot of balls. That really, really hurt. That was one of the ugliest things. I think two ugliest things that stood out, other than Haloti Ngata's play and his decline in play, not being able to do nothing but a run stopper, and DeAndre Levy's injury. And pretty much that's it. That was ugly. And the Lions' ability for probably since Barry Sanders really left, other than James Stewart one good year, and other than the Reggie Bush and Drake Bell good year, inability to run the ball. I think that's the number one issue for the Lions for years now. You can't ask Stafford to drop back 50, 60 times and win games every game and have to come back. If you run the ball once you get up, or if you run the ball, you keep your defense rested, you control the clock. Stafford doesn't have to drop back and risk injury or wearing his arm down, hand the ball off 25 to 30 times, and, you control the clock. You don't have to come back from behind or have to catch back up because you're controlling the clock, and then you demand an 8 in the box, and Stafford has plenty of open windows and bigger windows when people have to respect the run game. And what's another great thing I took from 2016 was Bob Quinn's ability to run a franchise and get talent. I like that about Bob Quinn. He got talent. He kept Caldwell. He didn't, rush. He gave the guy a chance, and, he did pretty good with what he had. But his number one agenda is going to have to get them a run game and a running back. But I like Bob Quinn. I think he was great. Another bad one was Amir Abdullah with the injuries. And Theoretic with injuries once again. I don't know about Amir Abdullah. Jury's still out, fumbling and injured. But I do know Zach Zenner is very good. I think he needs to pack on some muscle to get a little bit more durability and get his wind up a little bit. I know he wasn't accustomed to playing down the stretch, but he was a very, very bright spot. I think he's one of the brighter spots with Stafford and him and Bob Quinn for this year and Eric Decker. And I see the franchise going in a great direction. It has the best chance right now to win a Super Bowl or a championship amongst any Detroit professional team that we have. It's the best chance. And I think they're a couple players on defense short. I think they're running game short. They got the offensive line. We'll get into that on 2017 preview show. And where we need to go in the draft, we're going to do a mock draft. A lot of stuff coming up. Thanks for supporting the page in the layoff. Got the time and the fire to redo it.